The price of gold set another all-time record this past week. There's demand for gold for investments, for the circuits in cell phones and computers, and in this holiday season, for jewelry. But there's another price being paid for gold that you probably haven't heard about. Gold and other minerals are funding the deadliest war since World War II. More than 5 million people have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Years ago, the jewelry industry banned the trafficking in so-called blood diamonds, but the same hasn't happened with gold. And in the heart of Central Africa, we found a campaign of rape and murder being funded largely by gold that's exported to the world. This is a gold mine in eastern Congo, dug from the side of a mountain by the bare hands and stooped backs of 100 men. They've lifted tons of dirt one pan at a time, building terraces as they descend. The hunger for gold drives men into the earth so that other men can kill. You good?
Thank you.
Annika van Woudenberg has spent 10 years in Congo. She investigated the mines for Human Rights Watch and wrote one of the most respected studies on the trade. You know, this is a little bit dangerous business, especially for those guys.
It's particularly for those guys, and there are regular mudslides, rock falls. You know, the death rate is extraordinarily high in these mines.
Tell me what the life of a Congolese gold miner is like.
You make maybe, if you're lucky, $1 or $2 a day. You have no health care, no social insurance, you have nothing. People do it because they hope to become rich, but very few do.
The people are destitute, but Congo is the Saudi Arabia of minerals. In addition to gold, the earth is loaded with metals such as tin, copper, and something called coltan that's essential to the circuits in computers and cell phones. Our journey started beside Lake Kivu in the teeming city of Bukavu. Eastern Congo is spectacular, remote, and lawless. To get to the gold fields, we traveled through territory controlled by one militia, then another. We found this gold mine on the Mwana River in the province of South Kivu. First thing you notice are the children. Families set them to work early, and for many, it's the only life they'll know. Their method is at least 2,000 years old. They lay blankets in the riverbed and let the sediment collect in the fibers. The blankets are wrung out, and somewhere in all that mud is treasure. They mix mercury into the sediment, which chemically binds the gold together, and then they simply burn the mercury away. No one worries too much about the toxic fumes. The neurological damage from mercury may not show up for years. Can you pour that out there? And there it is. There it is, about a quarter the size of a pencil eraser. But it's gold. How much is this worth?
He said this can be maybe $5.
This could be worth $5? That's a sound that's behind what is now the deadliest war on earth. In 1996, Uganda and Rwanda invaded Congo. 7 more countries joined in and started stealing Congo's resources. The invasion ended, but ever since, rebel militias and government forces have fought over local power, ethnic hatred, and control of the minerals. We heard it firsthand from former rebel soldiers. This is a school that teaches guerrilla fighters who've laid down their guns how to be civilians again. This former major told us that when his troops controlled a territory, he demanded gold from every miner every day.
We collected gold, and then we went to buy medicines. We went to buy ammunition. We went to buy guns.
Who sold you the ammunition and the guns?
We would buy those things from Congolese army soldiers.
He's saying that government troops sold weapons to him, the enemy. Congo is so destitute that even its army goes without pay and becomes just another predator among the villages. Is the violence increasing, decreasing?
It spikes. It comes in phases, and it's very localized.
John Prendergast worked on Africa policy in President Clinton's White House. Now he runs a group called the Enough Project that exposes war crimes.
If you do a conflict analysis, you will find that when there are spikes in violence, it has something to do with contestation over the mineral resources, gold and the rest of them.
One recent spike centered on a village called Kanyabayonga. We went there with United Nations troops and found that a rebel militia had raided the village and burned 70 homes. Why attack the civilian population?
It's a very effective strategy. It scares the people, it terrorizes them into compliance.
It's chaos.
It's chaos that is organized in order to exploit the gold and other minerals for the enrichment of these armed groups, and it just keeps the cycle going and going until we break that cycle and begin to address the root issue here, which is the gold and the other conflict minerals.
Villagers caught in the combat pour into camps, like the one we visited in the province of North Kivu. It's a desperate place where a fist of flour can be, in the moment, as precious as gold. Fidel Bafalimba is a relief worker for the International Rescue Committee, a global charity that brings water and health care to the camps. How many camps are there like this in eastern Congo? How many people are displaced?
Oh my God, we have saved so far 1 million individuals, displaced individuals. And to name specific camps here, I think we have over 100 camps within this country.
One of my children was 15, another one 7, another one 6.
And they were shot to death by the soldiers?
Yes, they were shot to death.
The story of just one woman captures Congo. We found her in the camp. We won't use her name, but she asked us to show you her face. Her village was destroyed by a militia, burned in 2007. In addition to the 3 children, she lost her husband and her parents. Your mother and your father were burned alive in their house.
It wasn't only my family. There were about 280 people burned alive in their homes.
She ran with 3 surviving children to a makeshift camp for the homeless, but then the camp was attacked and there was a second massacre. When that round of the killing began, the people fled to the relative safety of this United Nations post. Now this has grown into a camp of more than 13,000 people. In terms of food, they're largely fending for themselves. Today, the United Nations was distributing flour and beans and cooking oil, but the last time this happened was 5 months ago. Most of the time, they forage for food outside the camp, and that is where she fell victim to the other atrocity of Congo, rape.
We went to look for food, but also firewood mostly. And that's where we got raped by people in uniform.
So these were soldiers who raped you?
Very hard to tell whether they were soldiers or rebels. All we knew and all we saw is that they were in uniforms and were armed with machine guns.
It's estimated 200,000 women have been raped in eastern Congo. Rape is a weapon here, and often a lethal one. Because of the suffering, the UN has tried to stop the trafficking in Congo's illicit gold, but we found that the gold from these mines is being smuggled into world trade. All those nuggets are combined in border towns, and then the gold is slipped over the border to Uganda's capital, Kampala. Uganda and Congo are right next to each other, but Uganda has almost no gold production of its own. In 2007, Uganda produced about $500 worth. But in the same year, it exported $75 million in gold. Almost all of that is coming from the war zone.
How much? Maximum 25.
We took a hidden camera into a trader called JIT. We offered gold for sale, and we were clear it came from Congo.
You know, it's not easy to get that things. The rebel, they are there, everything.
He bought our gold, and we got a hold of internal Ugandan records that list 228 international shipments by JIT and many others. UN investigators say most of it is gold from Congo, relabeled as a product of Uganda. After Kampala, it heads to refiners in Dubai and then out into the world. No one can say how much of the world market is fed by Congo gold. The best estimates are around 1%. So it's not likely any particular watch or wedding ring contributed to rape or murder. But we wondered how a consumer would know. Matt Runcie represents retailers as head of the trade groups Jewelers of America and the Responsible Jewelry Council.
Does your certification mean, for example, the gold didn't come from Congo?
Source of origin is not yet a part of the Council's framework.
How do you keep that gold out of American jewelry stores?
One needs to know where the sources of controversy are if one is to try to prevent those sources from getting into the legitimate supply stream.
Well, I think it's been pretty well known for a long time where the sources of controversy are in Congo.
Well, in the eastern province, yes, it has.
Jewelers know about the tragedy in Congo, but it's never been standard industry practice to trace gold to its source. Jewelers buy gold from middlemen. They don't ask where it comes from. It was 7 years ago that the industry banned so-called blood diamonds from West Africa, but up till now, it hasn't done the same for gold.
Banning the gold is a noble goal, but one that requires, I think, some thoughtful consideration and a positive engagement between stakeholders, governments, and industry to bring to achievement. And the industry stands ready to work with stakeholders and with government to achieve that end.
What's to talk about? Why can't the industry cut off the supply from Congo and strangle the civil war there?
There is absolutely no place and no need for debate around the question of whether any illegally sourced mineral ought to be part of the industry supply chain. It should not be.
Walmart is the largest gold retailer in America.
I believe that's correct, yes.
What effect would it have if Walmart simply declared that it would demand traceability all the way to the mine for all the gold that it sells?
There's no question in my mind that commercial pressure can and should and must be brought to bear.
Why isn't it done?
I don't think the question's been put to them, frankly.
We put the question to them, and of the major jewelers we talked to, only Tiffany's said that it traces nearly all of its gold directly to a particular mine, and that one's in Utah. Walmart told us it plans to trace the source of 10% of its gold products by next year. And the Responsible Jewelry Council says that it's developing a system for the industry that will one day trace gold to its source. If Congo's gold is less than 1% of world supply, that still comes to more than $300 million a year. More than enough to keep the war going on forever, mining an inexhaustible wealth of misery.